Hello students, today we're going to be talking about the essentials of geometry. So this is all the important stuff that we need to know in order to do the rest of this year. So this is all the basics that we need to understand. You may or may not know these definitions, but just in case you don't, we do have this reminder. Please don't forget to take notes as you go along and take the survey that follows this video. So the very first definition is a point. It only has location and nothing else. There's no size to it, no height or anything like that, no depth. All it does is explain location. You probably are familiar with points. You've done them in the past in Algebra 1, so on and etc. And what they are is you can use a coordinate such as 2, 3, which will tell you where on the x-axis and the y-axis you can find this and how to locate it. So whenever we plot a point, we always label it when we're graphing them, and we use a capital letter most often with these. When we take a bunch of points and put them together, they form a straight line. So a line is a straight, unbroken set of points, and that goes on forever. So the way that we show this is the arrows on the end of our line here. It has infinite length, but actually has no thickness to it. Okay, so those are two of our definitions. Let's continue on. The next definition that we have is a plane. A plane is a surface that has length and it has width, but it still has no thickness. It is a flat surface, and that extends on forever. Now, when we draw these, we typically end up only having it to go to a certain amount of point. We don't actually show it going on forever. We don't have arrows to show it goes on to forever. It's just understood that it does go on forever. So if you look at our plane here, we have a couple different things. We have 3 points on it, and then we have one without a point. And we're going to go more into detail with that tomorrow in class. The next definition we have is a line segment. This is a line that has 2 endpoints. So what I mean by that is there are no arrows that extend end to end. So this is something that doesn't continue on forever like a line does. It actually has 2 endpoints, A and B. The next thing we have is a ray. A ray is a line that only has 1 endpoint. So in this one here, if we're talking about this ray starting at A, then we're going to continue on in one direction towards Y or towards B. And we're going to go into how to name these tomorrow. If we use A or if we use Y, those are completely 2 different rates if we use those as our endpoints. Again, we're going to talk about those tomorrow. Our next definition is what an opposite ray is. So we understand what rays are. They have 1 endpoint and they continue in one direction forever. So opposite rays, we have ourselves 2 rays. I understand that that's misspelled. We have 2 rays that lay on the same line, and they have a common endpoint, and there's no other points in common. And the key thing here is that they're going to form a straight line. So let's take a look at an example. If you look at the blue one versus the green one, they're going complete opposite directions. However, we can look at this as an entire line, but both of them share a common endpoint, and the common endpoint would be B, and there's nothing else that they have in common. So that's what it means to be opposite rays. Again, that says 2 as in T-W-O. Sorry about that. Okay, so let's think of the word prefix co. Thinking about some words that contain that would be something like co-worker or cooperate. The big thing here is that the co means together. So if we're going to know that co means together, if we have the word collinear, let's analyze what that means. So we have 2 parts to this. We first have this part co, which means together, and then the second thing is linear. So if we know that it's collinear, what that means is it's going to be together on the same line. So an example of that is if I were to draw a straight line or line segment, F, Z, and P, those 3 points there are known as collinear. So another word would be coplanar. So the key thing in here, though, is we now have a different word. We have this planar here, which sounds like or is the same thing as plane. So when I say coplanar, which means on the same plane. So again, the plane, if I were to draw it like before, those points A, B, and C, those guys there are coplanar. Our last definition is what an angle is. An angle, it contains 2 rays that have a common vertex endpoint. So this kind of reminds you of what an opposite rays are, but these here don't necessarily have to form a straight line. So the 2 rays do not lie on the same line, and the common endpoint is also known as a vertex. So this is an example of an angle. As you can see here, in point E is our vertex, and we have 2 rays that are sharing that same endpoint. So this is an example of an angle. And we're going to be doing lots and lots of things with angles. We're going to go over how to name these angles tomorrow in class, so just be ready for that. If you have any questions, please make sure you write them down, and make sure you complete the survey that follows this video. I'll see you tomorrow in class.